A very good evening to our viewers. Welcome to the 1873 TV, Your Vision, Your Power. My name is Tinashe Mpasiri. Welcome to yet another exciting edition of the Africa I Want, Part 4, as we continue having a conversation with Mutumwa Mawere, as we focus on the article that we published in August 2007, Can Africa's Brand Ambassadors Please Stand Up? We continue from where we left off yesterday, and one particular word that got my attention and even got me thinking a lot is the word value. So joining me this evening as we discuss around Africa's brand ambassadors is Mutumwa Mawere. A very good evening, Mr. Mawere.
Good evening, Tinashe, and good evening, viewers.
I'm also joined by Kenywe. Kenywe, a very good evening to you.
Good evening, Tintin.
It's been a lovely day, I must say. Earlier in the morning, I happened to be at an awards ceremony where 4 young individuals were being honored by JCI for the outstanding work and contributions that they are making towards the Africa of our dreams. And one particular thing that I mentioned to the marketing executive of Brand SA is this conversation that we're having of African brand ambassadors. We are reiterated to her that these 4 young individuals are Africa's brand ambassadors. And they are the young people that one day another generation will be looking up to as stars in Africa. With that being said, she said this program, this show that we're having is fundamental, and this is how we can tell of the African stories that are never being spelled out. So I'm happy that Mr. Mawere is joining us this evening, as well as Hengiwe, so that we can continue touching on this aspect, more importantly on the one word I caught yesterday, that caught my attention, value, better understanding where the value is the missing part when it comes to these brand ambassadors of Africa. And if so, how can an individual become valuable?
I think I like what you're saying. I think I'm going to reiterate what Mr. Mawere spoke about 2 days ago when we posed the question, how can you be successful as an African? And remember what I said, do away with the notion of African and just look at yourself as a human being who's part of the human race. Once you look at yourself as a human being, then you will tap into, your skills and talent, and that's when you can go about creating value. So right now, what we experience as JCI, when they were being, accoladed or awarded, is for individuals who tapped into their inner being, who actually internalized it and said, no, I don't need validation from any person. I don't need one person to empower me, but I possess that power myself. Therefore, let me just, let it illuminate and let it just be evident to the world. So yeah, if you are confused, today's the masterclass show, and we're discussing the 3 challenges, which is poverty, inequality, as well as unemployment. And this discussion, because maybe we have first-time viewers, it was inspired by an article that was written by Mr. Mawere 10 years ago, well in August, it's going to be like 10 years ago, on Can Africa's Brand Ambassador Please Stand Up?
So we can continue looking at the article from where we left off from yesterday, and I'll just read the paragraph where we are starting off from today. The brain drain is nothing more than the externalization of Africa's expensive investment in human capacity. The role of the African intellectuals, often created at a great cost to the continent in addressing the political and the economic challenges of the continent, is an issue that requires sober analysis. Where the hell are these people? Is it the case that Africa is a hopeless patient who, when she invests the last dollar, is not able to salvage her position in the global marketplace? Mr. Mawere, I turn to you now. And really, this is very interesting. The first aspect that one has to highlight in this particular paragraph is the aspect of brain drain. And one would want to, I would actually ask this particular question. Is there anything such as brain drain, considering that when I go to school, I study on my own. There's no government that is involved. There's no president that is involved. I get good grades. I go on and get a degree. and I decide to move into another country where I believe that there is a better life. Would you call that brain drain?
Yeah, when you look at life, imagine you just visited Earth at the age of 30, and somebody says, "Where did you come from?" You say, "I came from another planet." Would that be life as you know it?
Absolutely not.
So you come from a society of people. So human beings, any life starts from a seed where you are helpless. So you are also helped to be somebody. Before you can stand on your own feet, there are people who support that effort. So life is complex because you grow into it. Even the young people think they're not going to grow old. And the old think they're not going to die soon. But death visits all ages. It doesn't have any particular age.
Affirmative action.
So when you look at brain drain, there are people who claim on success. If we can claim that which was created without our assistance, then we can also claim the success of those around us. So imagine a society without clemency. You may think you are alone, but for you to be alone, it means life ends that day. So the brains that we are talking about are not created in a factory where you can go to a tree and acquire knowledge. Any knowledge you get from other human beings in a structured way is costly. It's value. So if you don't pay your teachers, you won't get education. If you don't build infrastructure, you also won't get the quality that you desire. If you look at a hospital, it's also a hotel. If you look at higher education or lower education, it's also a hotel. There are beds, there's linen, imagine education without all these things that support human beings. There are towns that actually survive because of students. Because students are also human beings. So when you look at the brain drain, there is an expectation that if you are born in Africa, whatever you acquire in terms of skills must then be surrendered back to Africa, because that's where you got your reason to be who you are. So the drain is mostly to reflect the fact that when people acquire private education, they privatize it and they cease to be concerned about the plight of those who have not made it. But without those, you couldn't make it. So how do you balance this societal need with the private interest of the individuals concerned? You go for higher education, you can go to other countries. What takes you there is education. But what keeps you there may not be education. You are now looking after yourself. So generation after generation, or even those explorers, the adventurers we call colonialists, they left their parents and said, I am going wherever it takes me. When I arrive there, I'm not on my own. I don't have a return ticket. So that question is answered. And those who have left Africa, they go elsewhere, but actually they don't want to be African. They don't want to be considered to be African, because everything that they talk about actually has nothing to do with Africa. Imagine we create an institution. Somebody was saying, I'm not prepared to talk about the intellectual things. That was this morning. I said, okay, do you think that the people who left Europe did not came here because of anything concrete that they thought was awaiting them when they arrived? They took their brains from Europe. And when they arrived, do you think that there was an address that was waiting for them? So as you know, so most people live out of faith. They arrive with faith, and the rest really is life. It takes care of itself. You meet people, you exchange notes, you exchange ideas, you find there's a problem there, and if you solve it, and people value your solution, they'll pay for it. They're not paying. Actually, they're saying that I need that service. I need that product.
I like the fact that you touched on the aspect of brain, and I remember you once said the brain is the most powerful tool everybody has.
Yeah.
And earlier on today, when we were being interviewed by Mahadi, or Masadi actually, she asked me a question saying, so Shengi, what do you have for people who want to be like you? And I said, why would you want to be me?
Yeah.
Whereas you are your own person, you've got your own blueprint, you are powerful yourself.
Yeah.
So now we've got people who believe that, or who aspire to be like you, and they do not want to tap into the inner power that they have or possess. So what do you have to say to such a person who just wants to be like you?
No, if you want to be somebody else, then you will be soon reminded that you are yourself. Because there is nothing that you can do to create a human being or to be like somebody. Because to be like somebody else, it means there must be a factory where human beings are produced. Human beings can think. Imagine we all thought alike. And we all saw the same thing. And we all valued the same thing. Would there be any purpose of life?
Not really.
So life has a purpose and meaning because we're so complex, we're so diverse, and we can actually be ourselves. So anyone who is looking at the neighbor and say, I want to be like the neighbor, forgetting that the neighbor is another person. You may even not know what they're going through to be your neighbor. They always say you can't choose your neighbor. For good cause, because they are separate and distinct from you. So when we look at the Africa we want, how many people are comparing themselves to other people? Somebody says if you are in a train and it's traveling and there are dogs barking, would the dog be a train one day?
It will never be a train.
So if it can't be a train, then you can't wait for a dog to stop barking. But there are many people who keep on barking and say, where are you going? I'm trying to stop a train. But the train has its own destination. But the sooner you discover your own, you may discover you get there earlier than the time you spend barking at a moving train. Because life is motion. Each second. You don't know you are growing older, but you are actually growing older. But you don't feel it because there is no station where you go and then
you measure.
there is a check.
This change is inevitable.
It happens without your assistance.
And actually, we've got Mushana Murefu, a viewer who is actually viewing this particular show that we are airing at this very moment. And he has a question that he has posed to you, Kenyiwe. He asks, how does the identity African limit you from tapping into these abilities?
How does the identity African limit me from tapping into
these abilities?
It doesn't. That is why when we had an interview, or rather when we had a discussion with regards to do I have to be successful because I'm an African, I just did away with the fact that I'm an African. And I just saw myself as a human being. I just did away with the notion. I just rubbed it off and just saw myself as a human being. Because now remember what Mr. Mawere once said. Basically with regards to administration, we are grouped and classified because of administration. But there's a world of possibilities that we haven't tapped into. And for me, I am in pursuit of tapping into that world of possibilities because I don't believe in limitations. And the more I engage, the more I talk, the more I express myself, the more I reason with other people and not just think and suppress my thoughts, that's when I get to tap into the other powers and the other things that I possess as a human being. So for me, yes, do away with being African, being black, being young, being this. Just look at yourself as a human being who's part of their human race. Then from there on, you tap into so many possibilities. And trust me, the sky is not even the limit. Think like there's no box at all. Don't think outside the box. Just do away with the box and think like there's no box. And you will see the world and how great and how big it is. And you will see what you are capable of doing. And I remember Utami Ngubeni once said in one of her interviews, the more you do, your other gifts start pouring out. I never thought I'd do talk. I never thought I would actually, talk about nationalization, inequality, poverty, unemployment, everything that we're talking about currently. But the moment I got here, like, oh, by the way, 3 hours talk, actually times 2, 6 hours. I'm like, yeah, what am I going to say? And it happened. Why? Because I tapped into that space and I was so in tune with my consciousness and my spirituality. And I was like, you know what? For once, just follow you. Do away with the noise. Do away with what people say. Just learn, submit, grow. Don't be timid, vanity. No. Don't be timid. Just do. And now it's just flowing. Like, just flowing. Negative energy from the gates we shall prosper. I'm just like this. So I hope that answers your question. Mushana. I hope it does. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to hear what Mushana has to say pertaining to that, and we will definitely be looking forward.
Mushana was trying to tell you something. That be African first, then be human being second. Perhaps.
Be African first. You see, I learned something now. My paradigm got shifted.
Be African first and be human second.
But you were saying, I'm human being first.
Before African.
Then African is a label. Then there are people who believe that they know what an African looks like. Imagine you were blind. What would an African look like? Imagine you couldn't hear. What would an African look like? Imagine you couldn't what? You couldn't talk. You're dumb. How would you know what my nationality is? But how many people believe that if you are challenged, you are a fraction of a person? But I have to see. What if I'm an albino? Am I human? Somebody says no two white people can produce anything other than white.
It reminds
But
me.
two blacks can produce an albino.
What you said reminds me of what Trevor Noah said. He was like, yeah, if you think that, what's his name? Oscar Pistorius. If you think he's not complete, well, he doesn't have legs. But that didn't stop him from killing a person.
Yeah.
And that's, now you get to say that, yeah, actually he is human, eh?
But you don't
human.
have to have legs to be human.
Exactly.
So what does it take to be African? Perhaps you can ask Mushana.
What does it take, Mushana, to be an African?
Mushana would actually love to hear your contribution. What does it take to be okay? And Mushana actually states that's not what I was saying, Mutumwa.
I know Mushana feels.
So tell us, Mushana, what is it that you were saying?
Why are you asking complicated questions when you can have an easier one?
If only he was here, like we would just have this dialogue. Maybe we should pick the paradigm or the breakfast show when we're talking to him. Sure.
So as we continue with our conversation, what we had read earlier, we touched on brain drain, which Mr. Mawere has actually explained and spelled out that if, as an individual, I grew up in a particular, I was born and bred in a particular society, also attained the skills or the knowledge that I've attained in that particular society. The moment I move into another society, it basically I have also deprived that society that I...
No, this is the notion that you have deprived
Yes.
So it can never be a collective mind. But the human nature wants to appropriate, wants to own. Imagine somebody says, our minerals, my country, then you are my people, come back home. Imagine I visited London and I see a Ghanaian working in London. They say, when are you coming home? Did you bring me here? What is your...
Yes.
So, human beings by nature, they tend to think
Yes.
and act for others. When you are rich, you know how many people think for you. When you buy a Rolls Royce, they say, but why are you buying a Rolls Royce?
You could feed them
Yeah.
hungry people, poor people.
Yeah. And then you buy a helicopter, they say, my friend, where are you going? But even if the money was in the bank, it's still not yours. So what I do with it
It's
is none of your business.
Yeah,
But this brain drain comes from the idea that we actually have a reservoir of water. And when you leave, you are subtract, which is cashing out. That this bank of knowledge belongs to society. How many countries do you say it's our money, even foreign currency? The government of the receiving says, what? You can't take your money out. Whose money is it? Imagine the money is in the left pocket, I put it in the right pocket, then it's your business. But there are countries where somebody says, I am a governor of the central bank and my job is to stop your hand from opening your wallet. And he alone can tell you when to open the wallet. Would you want to be part of that Africa? Huh? You work hard, you put money in the bank, and some other whiskey.
30% quota.
Says, please slow down.
And I like that you touched on group thinking as well. So now how do we then do away, because you once said that we cannot think together, but we can reason together. So how do we do away with...
No, we reason individually. But when our minds meet, then we are somewhere. But imagine you can talk and talk, but the mind is going somewhere and the other is going another direction. So our
We actually got a Skype call. A very good evening to you.
Very good evening to you. How are you?
Very well, thanks. I'm Shana. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, it seems like you are eager to share some knowledge with us. You can go ahead.
No, it's not sharing, it's just discussing. Line.
Yes, Mushana, you can go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
I'm saying you can never claim to know it all.
Absolutely.
It's all about sharing and enlightening each other. Well, Slengiwe, it's you've got quite an interesting thought process there, where you think you can. You're absolutely right. You know, the point I was trying to put across is labels don't limit you from becoming yourself. I mean, I've just called you Slengiwe and you answered. Tinashe didn't answer. Mutumwa didn't answer. Okay? Now, that's the very point I was going to make. To say just because you were called Slengiwe does not stop you from tapping into those things you were talking about. We do have a number of classifications that are used, in order for, or for other reasons. This is where things start to get interesting. That's where I thought you were going to say, well, look, if you are African, you can be associated with a certain stereotype to say, well, Africans are corrupt or Africans are not very well enlightened, Africans lack this and that. I thought that's what you were talking about. But in terms of you being an individual, well, nothing stops you. You are who you are, you know? Whether you're called African, whether you're called European, or it doesn't matter. It doesn't change that fact. But what is interesting is to perhaps look at what are those things that are associated with being Africans that can limit your potential. Because you are African, what is it that we find that is uniform? And I can tell you one thing. It is very difficult for you as an African to compete in other areas of whether it's business or industry and get ahead despite having good abilities or being talented in certain areas. It is very difficult. If we look at even, let's say, footballers who play abroad, and then we take the pay slips and put them there, despite the fact that they're the best players, well, they would be the best players in that particular team, they would probably be paid less than those from other continents. And then it's subdivided into then race and things like that. So there are limitations. There are things that we can see that, okay, being associated with this particular group has got a certain outcome compared to being associated with other groups. Being of a particular color has got certain outcomes compared to being associated, or to being, to belonging in another group. The same thing we can say about gender. You know, being a woman, even though you are doing exactly the same job that a man has been doing in that particular position, we find that, you know, there's still an outcry where women are saying, look, we need equality here. Why should we get paid less when we are doing exactly the same thing?
Let me ask you something.
So that's the point I wanted to make.
I totally get
Do you agree, Shengiwe?
I totally hear you, but I have a question for you. Does this mean, because what I'm getting is perhaps successful Africans are kind of like a specialty, you know, like the special
Hello?
ones. Yes, can you hear me? So, can you hear me?
We seem to have lost Mushana there, but we'll...
Hello?
Yes, you hear. So now, because we want to do away with the limitations, how can then...
Can you hear me? I can't hear you guys.
I can hear you very well. Can you hear us now? Mishana, can you hear us? They're fixing the technical error. Can you hear us now? Can you hear us? Can you hear us now?
Mushana?
Yes, I can hear you, but I don't know whether I'm now hearing you from... can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you very well. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, because now you spoke about limitations and the fact that we are limited as Africans and we don't have the same opportunities and everything like that, and it's kind of hard to tap into, you know, different industries. How can we now stand up as African ambassadors and just try to tap into that? How can we then stand up? Is there a solution for these problems? Yeah, the connection is quite...
Yeah.
Right, guys, if you can hear me, I can't hear you at all. So I'm going to come out of the Skype line and then just listen to you guys on Facebook.
No problem at all. Okay, Mushana's going to listen to us via Facebook Live. But basically the question that I was posing to you, in case you're listening, because you are, because you spoke about limitations, the fact that as Africans it's hard to tap into certain industries and it's so hard. So because now we are trying to break away from that. We're trying to reach the world of possibilities and say, but can we just stand up? You know what I mean? We can't just sit back and relax. Whereas we possess the minerals, we have all of these things. How can we now stand up, Mushana, as African ambassadors and actually just rise up? How can we even do that? So yeah, you can comment and
what Mushana is saying there is a group identity called African. And that in that identity there are stereotypes. classified as Africans first. That should not be ignored. This is his thinking. And he's trying to convince you to think like him. And how is he trying to do that? By negotiating with you in a supposedly logical way. But what is he really saying? That when first he says identity, don't run away from the African identity. You are African. And if you are African, you have not won the good lottery of life. You are a special human species. So is that your revised understanding from what Mshana is saying? If we are to interpret what his intervention is, what is he saying to you? Because it was directed to you. So it means he doesn't want to start a fight with the two of you.
No, that is why I then rephrase the question to say because personally I don't believe in limitations. That's why I then pose the question to say if there's limitations and if perhaps being black and successful is a specialty, how can we then tap into those possibilities and make sure that we do away with that? But I know Moshana engages.
No, he's saying you are brainwashed. That's what he's telling you. Let me
enlighten.
Let me isolate things before she gets corrupted.
Exposure, I know, man. Facebook.
So this is your conversation with Mshana. We are not supposed to be part of it. He made
It's
sure.
not an elephant in the room.
Do you understand what you are saying? Oh, you are being fed with coin.
Moshana's got it. This is interesting.
So Mshana is fighting back. But it's not a battle with Mshana.
Hey, Moshana.
Mshana likes playing. So this is
Hey, Moshana.
Right, can you hear me now?
Oh, we can hear you perfectly. I hope you can hear us.
Mushana,
Right.
can you hear us now?
Now I can hear you. If you can keep it that way, you're audible now.
Perfect. Oh. So you've been listening. What's your take? Have I been brainwashed?
Right. First of all, Mutumwa is doing what Mutumwa does best, misinterpreting what I'm saying, and then posing the question to Shengiwe so she can answer it in that manner, and I don't know what she would then be answering. But what I'm saying to you, is that we are who we are. Okay, we are Africans because we were born in the African continent. We are black. That doesn't change. We are black. We will always be black. Okay, but that has nothing to do with our abilities. Our capabilities have nothing to do with your race or what geographical location you've been born in. We find that quite a lot of Africans are competent enough to go into Europe, to hold positions of influence, or to actually teach in European universities, to play games in European clubs. So competence has nothing to do with you being African, or you being black, or white, or yellow, whichever race you belong to. That's not the issue. But what I'm saying is, this idea of thinking that because you're African, you are limited, we need to stop thinking that way. And this idea of saying to people, stop identifying yourself as African because you are limiting yourself. That's the kind of thinking I'm against.
So that's what he's saying.
I agree with you when we say at the primary level, we are all human beings. Okay? If you skin everyone, yeah, and then you are asked to choose which one is white and which one is black and which one is Indian, you can't. Because at the cellular level, we are all similar. So, contrary to what Mutumwa has been alluding to, no. I am not saying you should become African first and then human second. That's not what I'm saying.
No,
Neither am I saying that, Shengyo, you should change the way you think about, individuals believing that they are capable of, doing their utmost best in whatever area or industry that they associate themselves with. I absolutely agree with that.
So I think when
it's a bad thing being called African.
When you are talking
Do
about
not think it's a bad thing being called black.
No, what we are saying is call me what you want, but I'll still be who I am.
But we know what I like here. We agree on the same thing.
Yeah,
like literally, we are literally agreeing on the same thing. It's just that we're expressing it differently, and I totally concur with you, and I agree with what you are saying.
So Mushana, just looking at the article that we have made as a point of reference, that was authored, it was actually written by Mutumwa Mawere. It was posted on August 27, 2007 on mmawere.com, the website. Have you had a chance to look at it and also go through?
No, I haven't, but you can always summarize. I know you're very good at that tonight.
I think it defeats what Professor Mtambara was saying, that people must read, not get summaries.
Yeah, but we don't have it. We don't have time for me to go and start reading.
But it's very simple. We're actually reading as we go. So how you can possibly get the article is go to www.mmawere.com/article/59. It's titled, "Can Africa's Brand Ambassador Please Stand Up?"
So, yeah, from that title, brand in what?
I think that's why we need to read the article, then we can see what it's saying. I think we are now on part 3.
Yeah,
perhaps you have not been following part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, I'm acting like an African.
Just so you know, it's always a pleasure talking to you, because this is the kind of discussions that we always, urge. Let's talk about them. Let them not be an elephant in the room. So yeah.
Likewise, anyway, it's always a pleasure watching you.
I'll cover my face now. Literally.
So I think this is about Mshana and Kona. Okay. Mshana, please, let's focus on ambassadors.
Africa
I want, not the thing I want.
Okay, I can't say edit that out because we are live. So let me just stand aside, mute your vision, your power. Make sure you follow us. Thank you so much, Michelle. It's always a pleasure. And yeah, thank you so much for actually following us and making sure that you also, you contribute. By the way, in case you don't know, Michelle, he contributes a lot in the Breakfast Show, as well as, shifting the paradigm. So thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
The Mushana we want.
Mushana, we on paragraph 6 of this article, and I'm just going to touch. There's a question that I'm going to pose to you, so that we could also hear from you what you think. And basically, this is what is the role that of the African intellectuals as far as building the Africa of our dreams?
At the moment, their role is to go abroad and work there, and then remit the finances back to Africa. That is the trend we are seeing.
And we have heard today Dr. Nkosana Moyo has thrown his name in the ring. What is your take?
I don't know how often you look at Facebook, but
yeah.
Today I I
Yeah.
just announced my candidature as an MP for Zimbabwe, and the constituency is Facebook.
Okay. I think that's a good start.
That's exactly what I think about Dr. Nkosana Mawere.
Okay, that is a Facebook candidate.
Yeah.
That his face is in the book.
Because this is the trend we are seeing. Okay, I've said this often enough. He is someone who I think has had the experience of working in government. He understands how government runs, right? What I can't reconcile is an individual who is quite knowledgeable, right, in the affairs of party politics, governance, right, who will spend most of his time talking sense in media houses, in different online platforms, coming up with hashtags and statements that are in quotations, very, very intellectual, and very interesting and sound ideas that he will be posing. But yet he understands that that all doesn't matter when it comes to getting him into power. He needs people on the ground who he's not communicating with. I mean, if you actually think about the demography of Zimbabwe, I've often said this enough. 67% of the population lies within the rural areas. And looking at that margin, I mean, I could give you the numbers, but we are, looking at about 4 million people who are eligible to vote out of a total of about 6 million. So you've got 2 million scattered all over these big cities and places like that. I mean, like I said, I do have the numbers, but let's just work with what I'm giving you.
So
right?
you're saying intellectuals like good armchairs. What are you saying?
Well, I'm saying there's no room for intellect when it comes to the process that is used to vote people into power.
Okay.
Yeah? You need to talk to those people, whether you lie to them, whether you tell them the truth, whatever it takes, because it all doesn't matter. Those people will have to go and make a decision, and they have to make a decision based on, as we have seen over the years, things that don't make sense. So you being a doctor online and declaring your candidature on these platforms, it makes no sense. Yeah? The person who's going to win is the person who's going to talk to these people, the electorate, and convince them to vote for him. That's what matters. But if you are doing it because you want the international community to look at you and start communicating with you saying, this is a potential leader, let's invest in this person, well, I suppose it works.
No efficient leadership in government.
So basically you're saying that this is Nkosana's business plan, in essence.
No, I am saying it makes no sense to me how at this particular point in time, 2017, June, right? He is an individual who has no political party, who has no structures in the communities, right? Who is saying he wants to become president of Zimbabwe. How?
You know, somebody once said, we have become a microwave generation. We want everything to be done now. So what do you have to say to people who are waiting for leaders for things to actually happen? Who are just waiting on a leader for things to happen, and then when everything goes wrong, they then blame the leaders again. What's your
but these people you're talking about are people who have access to Facebook, people who have access to social media. Huh? The people that matter in the case of Zimbabwe do not have these things. They don't know who Nkosana Mawere is. Huh? He has not done anything for him. Yeah? These are people who rely on relationships. Huh? You see, it's a very difficult area to break through, because what they say is yeah? What does that tell you? It tells you that communities are so close to each other that they know what you are going to vote for before you even vote. How are you going to break into that kind of community when you actually don't approach and talk to them and gain their trust or whatever it is that you tell them? There's obviously a reason why you want to become president. What is it? I don't even know what his reason is so far. He's just said generic things just like anyone else. Mugabe has stayed in power for too long. He must go. What are you going to bring? How are you going to bring what you're proposing? That's what we are interested in. And who are you talking to? Are you going to talk to Mshana Mrefu, who is in the United Kingdom, who's not even going to go and vote?
So
Definitely give you a like on Facebook, and you're going to have thousands of likes, if that will make you feel better.
Doesn't translate to votes.
well, you actually pose very interesting insights there, and views as to these intellectuals, these African intellectuals who often
Talk to the people, the electorate.
If they are over 40, let's call them that. If they're under 40, I call them modern war vets.
Okay. I guess we will touch on the war vets of the 21st century.
Yeah,
But I think
these are modern war vets, very dangerous. Because they are going to be saying, hey, I campaigned a lot on Facebook. Where's my share?
I shared.
But now there's Snapchat, is it?
Yeah, so many.
There's
You can't keep
Instagram.
up, eh? There's literally so many.
Yeah.
So in essence, okay, I'm not just shooting these people down. We can see you've been aroused. We can see the interest, and I admire that. And politics is never going to be the same in Zimbabwe. Things have changed, and I admire that. But what's important now is to realize how to make that effort, to make that passion make sense. How can we make it move things? And you've got the right idea. You need to go and vote. But you also need to recognize what the numbers are saying. Huh? Where are the voters that are going to make a difference in your case?
Absolutely. So, Mshana, without deviating from the conversation that we're having, this is a question that I'll pose also to Mr. Mawere, for starters. Is it the case that Africa is a hopeless patient who, when she invests the last dollar, is not able to salvage her position in the global marketplace? This is a statement that, this is a question that you posed, Mr. Mawere.
Yeah.
But also in posing it, obviously you had something in mind. And
Can you say that again, please?
is it the case that Africa is a hopeless patient who, when she invests the last dollar, is not able to salvage her position in the global marketplace?
Yeah, that's a. Okay, so Mr. Mawere penned that question down. I mean, what you've already condemned Africa as a patient. Why? Is there a particular reason why?
No,
Before we even talk about the investment in the global market.
I'm asking the question.
But why did you decide to already make her a patient?
No,
You
I'm
know,
saying, is it the case? Yeah, so, and I think you're in an English-speaking country. So
No, I've understood, but what
yeah,
I'm saying...
so I'm saying, is it the case? It may not be the case. It's inviting people to comment. So I'm being asked by Tinashe to comment on a question I posed, not for myself.
Yeah.
Or rather, how can Africa build and protect its image by using its resources to actually leverage its position in a globally competitive world?
Yeah, because
How can we then
if
leverage?
Africa was a person, assume that we are African, the people who live here, and the people who daily have to make ends meet, and Africa belongs to all who live in it. It may exclude Mushana temporarily while he's moonshining or whatever, looking at the greener pastures, but so be it. But he is not here.
Mutumwa, can you hold on? Tinashe,
Yes, Mshana.
your mic, is it possible to... I don't know how you can share with others, but it seems I'm having difficulty hearing Mutumwa and Hlengiwe, and I'm not the only one, even viewers on Facebook.
Okay. So can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So I need to shout at you.
Well, you need to shout louder, not to shout at me.
You said your forest, Bishad. Yes.
Okay. I think the question that is valid is that Africa expresses itself through the human beings who are the agents of change. When we look at the world at midnight, what do we see? Do we see activity at night, 24 hours of the day, being optimally used in Africa? Or we see an Africa challenged by the hours given, that actually we sleep more because sometimes we don't have electricity. Sometimes we make Africa appear to be a hopeless case because we are the ones with motion. We are the ones with brains. Africa doesn't have any interest in being rich or being poor. It has no aspirations at all. What we have is human beings with 2 legs, 2 eyes, 2 ears, who appear to be the same as those Arabs in the Middle East where we are going for shopping today. And the other people today, or whatever, Hong Kong, is 20 years now. Hong Kong has been handed to the Chinese, and Hong Kong remains a system that was under British control. But if you look at the economy of Hong Kong and take the economy of Africa as a whole, the statistics will tell you something. So all I'm saying is, why is it that the people who live in Africa don't see the value in Africa, yet they blame those who come to Africa just to expose the little bit of it, just the numbers alone? If you take all the people who are blamed for Africa's problems, let's say they're white, maybe you can include Chinese, Indians in the future, because they will be the new enemies of Africa. As they keep on investing and eating alone, as the Africans say, they will also be targeted. But assume you got a white problem in sub-Saharan Africa. How many whites are in Africa? Then we put them in one basket. How many blacks are in Africa? We put them in another basket. Then we investigate the minds of this class of people called black and the minds of this class of people called white. Do they think alike? The answer is no. Is their poverty a result of this small portion of the human species? Or there is something at play? So I'm saying that if I am Africa and I had a voice, I'll be looking at all the people who call themselves African, who live in Africa. Then say, what is your problem? I am a patient. Everyone says I'm a dark continent. How can I be dark when you have a life? Then that question ought to be posed to people like us so that we have a conversation. For some people out there, they may think it's intellectual. It's too high level. We want to talk about who we can box. What is economic freedom? How can we march? Some people say black first, land first. And if I go to ABSA and demonstrate, the world will change. If ABSA pays back, the world will change. So all we are saying, there's more that we don't understand, that we need to understand about the design of life. Because really, if, as Mushana says, and to him is correct, that there is this human being caricature who is black. And the fact that he's black, he's got associates who are also black, and therefore must group them together so that we can then try to have a laboratory to say, how do blacks think? How are they perceived? By who? Because if I'm just working on my dash, just working slowly towards death, do I need disturbance? If somebody disturbs me, my journey, that person will lose freedom by disturbing me. So I want to see this unique African who is every day talked about. Imagine you go to dinner and these are blacks talking about whites. Breakfast. And they have them for IT. They have whites for dinner. They have whites in their dreams.
That is so funny.
And they hallucinate about this white conspiracy.
You know,
And then they wake up and they say, were it not for whites, we will be rich. And we are poor because they are rich. Imagine.
Mr. Mawere, I'm reminded by what Tinashe said, especially on the breakfast show when we were talking about the 30% quota.
Yeah.
And Tinashe said, no, let me not be hyped because I'm black or because I'm a woman and because of this and that. How about we flip the script and actually propose for value? There should be value proposition. How, you know what I mean? Because it should be based on merit and competence. There should be value proposition, not because now I'm getting into a company because of this particular skin color. So yes.
I think we are provoking Mushana to come out with it.
Mushana, please fly to South Africa and join us on a master show at 5 or at 4. Any part you need to come through and let it be a panel discussion where you're here.
Yeah.
Like I am really amped.
So,
because Mushana believes it's propaganda.
yeah, you see, look, we have fundamental differences in our approach to the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's all right. There are so many ways of killing a cat. I cannot say the way you look at it is wrong. What I can only do is to give my proposition.
Yeah.
Now, I think the problem that you will find, or the problem that we will always face in Africa, is that we are end users of products and systems that we do not create. We are not looked upon as an equal when it comes to setting up rules of how.
But Mushana, you're already losing us. We are now victims. We are now consumers. I'm using a Samsung here. What do you want me to use? A Shona phone?
No, something like that.
Let me have this opportunity. Wait. Okay. Let me have this opportunity to share my view. Okay? I think I was patient enough to listen to your view as you narrated how I think this is that or whatever. But it's fine, right? My view is, for as long as you do not know how the game is played and what the rules are in that game, you will always face a problem like Africa faces. We inherited a system that we did not create, right? And it is the system that we use, and we do not know what the rules are. It's like, now, I'll borrow from your terminology. Imagine you are playing basketball, and you are a football player, and you get into that court. The moment you see that ball, you want to shoot using your legs. Because your idea of the way the game is played is that there should be 11 people and you take your position and you want to score, right? And the moment that ball touches your legs, the referee blows his whistle and says penalty or whatever, foul, whatever it is that they say in basketball, right? You can't do that. This is exactly what happens in Africa. This is what you do. And then it gets more sophisticated to a situation where they actually start making these rules as they go. They don't exist. You are told about, investor confidence. In investor confidence. Who are these investors who you can never see? Who is controlling the currency? Who are they that are determining that your currency is now? It's not even based on demand and supply. No, they tell you there's a third aspect to it. You might have too many goods. There might be a lot of demand, but that's not enough. You have to please the investors, the confidence, the market. What is that? Huh? That's what I call a fail-safe plan. Huh?
But
always
Mushana,
Africa on a grip.
let's say you have given credit to enemies of Africa.
That's what's happening.
No, I'm saying that's what you are saying.
Is it not what's happening on the ground?
No, let's investigate it. Let's not be what? We won't be. Let's be able to investigate some of these things.
Yes.
Yeah. I think if we don't investigate them and then we assume that there's a conspiracy, that the rich are conspiring to keep the poor in poverty.
Yeah, no,
I think
you've come up with a very good idea. I'm more than happy that next time when we are on air and we are talking about this subject, I am going to present to you facts to support what I've just said.
Reference,
Not to just say facts. And then perhaps we can then have a helpful discussion on it.
You know what I like with regards to what we are doing. Right now, let's say there's a person who's actually watching us. We're actually, sparked an interest of researching for themselves as well. Because now this young person is like, oh, okay, cool. How about I actually investigate or research about the rule of law, about government, about all the things that we're talking about. So now we're sparking something. It's not just about discussing amongst ourselves, but there's that person who's curious. Because sometimes the only way to learn is to be introduced to things that you were never introduced to before. So yeah, your contribution is also sparking
but also,
interest.
we have said before.
Yeah.
And the opposite of poverty
It's not wealth.
is not what we think. You know what it could be?
What is it?
Yeah. Ignorance is always a friend of poverty. They go hand in hand.
Very much so.
Ignorance is what, sorry?
A friend of poverty.
Yeah, and the cousin is charlatans.
Yeah. I think when because the biggest problem is that if we don't know how the rich are rich, then there's no need to live poverty. Imagine you live in a destination called poverty. Why would you live there? When escaping from it, you end up being called a charlatan.
Yeah.
But here's the
A
thing.
thief. And now you are called a thief.
And then there's prejudice.
And the person who is complaining about your theft is not the person who is victimized. Imagine I step on your toe. Then Shana complains in England.
When you're talking about ignorance, or when you're talking about poverty, it's also important for us to define what that word means.
That's why we need to have another class, another master class on poverty.
Yes.
You really like masters, huh?
No, I think because we lack masters, because you left with your brain and went into England, and we are trying to pull you down so that come back where we are, and you are still running away.
I am here.
No, please come home where we need
Come home, Shana. Come home to Africa.
Africa, then we can talk, we can have decent conversations.
Yes, Mushana.
Do you agree that I share with you more than the ordinary person who walks in South Africa?
No, that's why I was saying.
Are you trying to capture me?
I know more of you than
were it not for white technology. Can you imagine in 1973? Talking to Mushana.
No, come back, Mushana. Like we just
Mushana,
come back.
Thank God there's Facebook. Thank God there's Mark Zuckerberg.
No cyber
we could have developed.
Now I'm going to call Mark Mushana.
Okay.
Sure. And we've exceeded an hour. It is
Now we would never know how we would have developed.
Yeah. And Mushana, we wanted the brand ambassador stand up.
Brand
We have
ambassador.
two people.
Yay.
Yeah.
You must stand up, Mushana.
They must
which you have not answered. I said brand in what? What brand?
Mshana, you are a poisoned brand because we don't know what to say to you. Because whether we say an Englishman, because the English who came to Africa, we call them African. And you I don't know what to call you.
Actually, hearing us at the background.
I lost you there for a while. I think you need to be closer to Tinashe so I
Well. It seems like we have run out of time. It's been a very interesting conversation, to be honest.
We are going to have
But
one rendition.
But before we call it a good night, True Verb is going to give us a performance.
Yes. Stay on the line, Mashana. You are about to be serenaded. Yes.
We call it a good night.
True Verb, ladies and gentlemen.
True Verb.
Change your world. Like I'm hearing my voice. Don't worry, you can. Oh, you can. Alrighty.
I think the TV screen is smaller than the people.
Right next to me.
Because you're only seeing them from chest to downwards.
How many people can fit in a VW?
The laugh, the gags, and the show. I try to maintain decorum. I can't. Okay, True Verb is about to grace us. Change the world. Oh,
Yeah.
this is True Verb.
Change the world.
This is us changing the world.
I thought you were introducing them.
Oh, yes. They are amazing. They're about empowerment. They literally the epitome of truth. This is Change the World by our very own True Verb.
Yeah.
The ambassadors.
The ambassadors of one.
They are standing up.
Yeah.
We are sitting down.
Round of applause. This is the one more coming studio.
Yeah.
We can change it. Well, this world is a liquid, diverse human ecosystem. There is more that unites us and now divide us. Oh, yeah. Democracy alone cannot deliver the true purpose of life. Oh, yeah.
See me talking to the man in the mirror.
See me talking to
You gotta
the
be
man.
the change you want to see.
You gotta be the change you wanna see.
See me talking to the man in the mirror.
See me talking to
You
the
gotta
man.
be the change you want to see.
I gotta be the change you wanna
We can
see.
change the world.
We can change the
Make it a
world.
better place. We can change the world.
We can change it. Alright.
We can change the world.
Alright.
Make it a better
Make it a
place.
better
It
place.
starts with you and me.
We
We
can
change the world.
We can
Make
change
it a better
the
place.
world.
We can change the world.
Make it a better place. Yeah.
We can change the world.
We can change
Make
it.
it a better
Make it a better
place.
place
It
for
starts with you and me. We see people procrastinating. We see people or deferring to others to be the change. Yet we all know that any motion requires causation. Yeah, yeah, yeah. With a human action, history will always be a straight line. It's me and you who writes history by penning it with action. See me talking to the man in the mirror. You gotta be the change you want to see. You gotta be the change you want to see. See me talking to the man in the mirror. Alright, you gotta be the change you want to see. Be the change you want to see. We can make it a better place. We can change the world. We can change the world. We can change the world. I know that. Make it a better place. It starts with you. It starts with you and me. We can change the world. Make it a better place. Yeah. We can change the world. We can change the world. We can change the world. I know that. Make it a better place. It starts with you. It starts with you and me.
Change is not business, but the individual thoughts and actions deliver the difference. Inspired by Mandela's spirit to be the change, let us be engineers, drivers, character and personality. Start by doing the little things that give character and personality, because history never lies, it tells your story. History is shaped and defined by individual actions. Mandela is not remembered for threats, but his courage and determination and actions too. Got to say be the change, and we as the 1873 network say, the change begins with me and you.
See me talking to the man in the mirror, 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 mirror.
Motion requires what?
Causation.
Motion requires what?
Causation.
Motion requires what?
Well done.
Yeah, let's hear.
So I take it, Mr. Mawere, this is one of your songs you penned down.
You know this.
Only Mutumwa knows.
Those words certainly sounded like you.
How can words sound like a person?
Exactly.
Huh? I think, Jesus, what words did he use?
Anyway, it's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you very much. Catch you next time.
Mutumwa, what is your rating? What is your rating of these guys?
No, it's the guys have got very beautiful voices, huh?
Yeah.
That's very good. Well done, guys. Keep it up.
We should have had to convince, so once you get it. I'm right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well done. Gotta keep it up.
All right. Catch you guys later.
Thank you so much, Mutumwa. And to our viewers out there, thank you so much for tuning into the 1873 TV, Your Vision, Your Power. We hope that tomorrow you catch us again, same time, 7 p.m. Central African Time to 8 p.m. Central African Time. And we continue with the conversation as we continue talking about the Africa that we all want. Can Africa's brand ambassador please stand up? We have four who've already stood up and about to who are driving change. They are not threatening about what they can do, but they are doing what they're doing at this very moment.
Preach, brother.
Mr. Mawere, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Kenyiwe, thank you so much for also joining us. And to True Verb, continue being drivers of change. Thank you, gentlemen.
True verb. Proverb once said his proverb because he's professional at verbalizing the truth. So you are verbalizing the truth. You are truthful. Okay, we got like if I come out and get overexcited and Fred is giving me the side